Hi and welcome to The Practice Gap, the podcast for closing the gap between the practice you have and the one that you want. I'm Elizabeth, a chiropractor, a business owner, coach and entrepreneur, on a mission to help you move from frustration and overwhelm to clarity, focus and joy in practice. Hi Carine, welcome to the studio. It's so good to see you.
Thank you.
Although I actually see you quite a lot during the week because we work together.
Yeah.
Could you please tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I have been in, if I could call it this practice business for my whole career. I started, I think it is 20 years ago now, in the reception in a clinic. And I've done I think everything you can do in a clinic that's not, treating patients, if you can say that. I've taken the phone, I worked with marketing, I worked with numbers, I worked with helping therapists, So, and for the last couple of years, I have run a business with you called Praksisliv, where we help clinics take their phones and just insurance for them and just help them with every practical thing they need in their everyday life. Yeah.
What has made you stay in this business for 20 years?
I think, first of all, the people. Everywhere I go, it's people are so great. They are so, people are, so good and great. And I experience that everywhere I go. And I think I like to work in a business that helps people. Mm. And, it's a more meaning to the work I do, because I know that the work I do helps people who helps people.
Yeah. So when you work with your numbers, she loves statistics and numbers.
I do. And Excel.
Which most chiropractors and other therapists kind of hate. They don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Then you are just part of this helping people business.
Yeah. I think, yeah. And that's, gives a meaning, in my life. Yeah. Mm.
You have, in your career, you've seen chiropractors and other therapists from being just starting out, and you have also been working with a lot of experience of working for 30 years plus. So you know a lot about the journey from just starting out to ending up as a successful chiropractor or therapist. Is there or what are the biggest commonalities with the people just starting out and who really make it? Can you? How early can you spot wow, this one is special?
I think you can spot it pretty early. I think it is something maybe about their passion and about their practice and their patience. And I think the willing to learn from others, not being afraid to
try new things.
Try new things and try to use the people around them to be better in a way.
Are you thinking more what I hear you saying is people are more coachable?
Yeah.
They ask questions and want to
they want to know that and they try, and they're not afraid to ask questions. They're not afraid to I think many are afraid to feel that people should see that they're not good enough, or
they look a little stupid.
Yeah, they look a little stupid. But
if they open their mouth, it's I should know.
But and they are good at observing other therapists and learning from other therapists. I think another thing that they are good at, communicate. I think that if you see the other way, if you see people who are very successful today, what separates them from persons that are not, or maybe less. I think it's not always that they are really good at. No, okay, they're not book smart, but they are really good at talking to people and making the patients feel like they've seen and heard, and that does that the patients come back to them and recommend them to other patients, and then they got a lot of patients, and that makes them good at treating people. So it's not like they are good in the beginning, but they get good because they have so many patients. And I think that's one of the tricks. People think that people who's really successful is because they are so book smart and they're so good at treating people, but it's the amount of patience they have had that made them good at that. In the beginning, they were just good at talking to people.
Yeah.
And
so then you get better as the bigger practice you have. It's kind of like this a spiral that goes up. Where the more people you treat, the better you get.
Yeah,
and the better you are at communicating your passion and seeing the person feel. So the person feels seen and heard. The more patient you will get because you will attract more people.
Yeah, and the better you get at treating people. So I think that's maybe one of the things I see in the beginning,
One of the big issues with some really excellent chiropractors who hasn't really made it yet is a lack of self-confidence.
Yes.
They know so much and they are kind of scared to selling themselves. They're scared to telling people like they should come see me, I can help you.
Yeah.
So this lack of self-confidence, what have you seen? In your career, have you met people who you see the potential and you see the lack of self-confidence? Have you seen them like break through and just really bloom, or do you think that will kind of hinder them in their blooming?
It does hinder them in them blooming, and I think I really see it mostly in women. You know, we talk ourselves down a lot, and but I think maybe one of the tricks, if you can call it that, is I think maybe one of the things that I've seen that could switch that or do that is that if you find one or maybe two things to be good at, you find your thing and you do that thing and not be good at everything. That you will find
something that
when you specialize in something or find your thing, you stand out and you get a lot of course you get a lot of those patients and you get good at that, and that becomes you in a way, that reflects the person you are, and I think that does something with your self-esteem, that you feel better.
So we're back to the good spiral.
Yeah.
The better you have become in one certain little area, the more feedback you will get. That oh wow, you're so amazing at treating dizzy people or something like that. And then it builds because you get more dizzy patients, and you get better at it. And then people was like, oh, she's so good at dizzy people. You should go see her. And then it builds your
self-esteem. And I think also if you work in a clinic with other chiropractors or other therapists, you don't have to fight for the same patients. And because then you're thinking, oh, why did she go to him and not to me? And that goes around in your head, because if you're just, I'm treating ankles, and all the ankle persons are coming to me, so then you don't have that fight or not a fight, but that thing in the
I have a story here. I think most chiropractors, I speak for my profession, we all think that as therapists, there's a certain number of people out there who need us. So then if we are more than one person in a clinic, we kind of fight about have a competition about the same patients calling into clinic.
That's a better word.
But that's usually not really how it works. One wonderful, I run my own practice when I'd just been a couple of years in practice. I was having a practice I run my own practice. I had a small practice, and there was a lot of women, especially between 30 and 40, and had some kids. And I had been working there for a year and a half, and then I was pregnant. And at that time, I was married to another chiropractor. And when I stopped working, he took over my practice because I had a small practice, so he could do both his practice and mine. And after a couple of weeks, I was like, oh, how is Mrs. Jones doing? She's like, oh, she was there once. So how is Marianne doing? Oh, she was there once. And then it turns out, within 3.5 weeks, he had 80% men with acute low back pain. And I had just had, 8% women with chronic issues. And I'm like, wow, we could just work together at the same clinic because we attract completely different patients, and it's it has nothing to do with it's not about not about the numbers, it's who you attract.
Yes, it is. And I think you have to try to attract people and you have to find something in yourself. What are your passion, and what do you like working with, and trying, or just doing that, and letting go of the others to find your thing. Because I really see that people who do that, and some people do that without thinking that they're doing that, just going their own way. They don't have these issues with their self-esteem and things like that, like people who doesn't do that. So yeah.
Well, I had got this image of this chiropractic, this book that was written of a chiropractor. His name is Fred Barge, and it was like one of these green books that there was this chiropractic books that was written a long time, like the Green Book series. And the title of that book, it kind of always bounces back on me, because it's like he wrote a book, Life Without Fear.
That would be a great life.
And that's such a beautiful title. And I don't remember much of the book, but it just to work through having this fear, because we have all this fear.
Yes.
That's totally unnecessary. And I see it in all the other chiropractors. It's like when you let go of the fear, then you it's so much easier to bloom.
It is, really it is. And it stops us from, getting to be the person we really are, because we stop ourselves, we're looking for excuses in the environment around us, and we just have to look at ourselves. But that's the hardest thing too, because you have to, you have to go some rounds in your head. And maybe I try to. When people come to me and talk about these things, I try to say that, go to the people that you get inspired by, or that you think is, this is really good chiropractor, and just be with that person for a day or two and just see, what does that person do, does that person say, and it's like faking you till you're making it, and try to do the same things, because you don't have to you figure it all out for yourself. You can learn from the people who has figured it out already. So do that maybe a couple of times a year. And I have always done that in my career. I've always find the person that I admire, or that I think, he or she is really good at her work or his work. And I don't have that saying. I don't know if it's like a saying in English, but in Norwegian it's like henge på det som ett slips. I don't know what we can call it in English.
Hang around them like a tie? I don't know how it works in English.
It's something like that. You just have to stick with them, and you just become their friend, and just, learn from them. And the first years I did that, I was just sitting still and don't saying anything. I was just listening to what they did and what they say. And so many times I was thinking that, oh, wow, they said that. I would never... I wouldn't dare to do that. And hanging around them, I got the experience, but not doing it myself, but by listening and seeing them, to all the things they, try to do, and got to do that I would never, dare to do. And then I learn and see, I can do that. And I think
it's kind of having a free seminar every day. You go hang around with someone and you can just soak up their knowledge.
And I see when I try to tell people, you have to do that. Many of the people who experience that, I don't have that self-esteem, and I see that they don't want to do that. That's too much. And I think that's the first step. Just do that. Find somebody that you like, and go and learn from them.
That reminds me, I had somebody working for me with me a few years ago, and she's like, well, I could never I know that you do that, but I could never do that. And I'm like, why? And it's not that you couldn't do it, it's like, I don't want to try it. And it's kind of sad, because you miss out. And in the beginning, you have to try different strategies. You can't figure it out. You haven't really learned it in school, and you have to dare to try new things and new phrases. And of course, you shouldn't copycat other people, but you have to do it in the beginning to find your style, and then you find your voice. If you try different ways or metaphors that other people use, then you find, this is me, and you can find inspiration. And it's really nothing else than learning other things. But I think we're just fearing the communication part and try different phrases because, oh no, that's not me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think
so,
you have to try that to
you have to try it, and in the beginning it doesn't, hear like, it doesn't feel like you, but then you find, like you say, your voice in it, and it goes a little bit faster than yourself figuring everything out for yourself, because you can just take the things that other have figured out before. And it's like reading a book, the same way you learn, and then you get,
I did one very interesting thing early in my career. It was kind of scary. I actually recorded what I said during a conversation, and I wrote it down. And to check, like, what am I actually saying? And I'm like, oh, man. And that's actually a great exercise to, especially, like when you, the first time when you explain what you do in how to explain a chiropractic or how to conduct an interview, to see what are you actually saying. Yeah. And to have the courage to listen to yourself, or you can just write down, this is how you usually say, and then read it and like, does this make sense? How can I say this in different way? Yeah. And you do learn by writing, so then actually writing down what you're saying and writing by maybe new sentences which may be better, or ask a colleague, how do you ask about emotional problems or something like that, or how do you explain chiropractic in 3 sentences? And then by writing that and actually practicing out loud when there's no one there, it's a really, really good exercise that I think many people are super scared to do, because then you kind of look at yourself in the mirror, and that's kind of
it's
hard.
easier to go around with all your fear.
Oh yeah.
And then that was a really good exercise. Yeah. And I think also then maybe you see what you don't tell the patients, all the things that, I think I tell them this, but I don't. Yeah. When I've been working in this business for so long, I get a lot of treatments, of course. Yeah.
That's a good way to learn too.
Yes, it is. But I see that a lack of communication with me as a patient. I see that so often, and I miss that as a patient. Talk to me, tell me what you do, tell me what is going to happen next. I don't know these things. Maybe they think because I work in the business that I do, but I don't. That's not my field. So the communication bit is so important to make me stay as your patients, because else I just go someplace else the next time.
I think you are touching into something really important there, that we kind of, when we have a patient over a few years, then you forget about them. You talk about life, and then you forget about the basic things that are actually there. I mean, they're happy, you're happy, everyone's happy, but you kind of forget that they still don't know as much, or they're still very interested in knowing more about their body. I had this experience. I went to one of my colleagues with have a bad knees, and he was working on my knee. And he was so good at actually communicating time and what to do and how to. I'm like, talk to me as I don't know nothing about it. Give me exercises. Yeah. And it was so helpful. And I'm like, I'm just a patient when I'm here. It's like, I don't know anything because it's my knee. I don't know anything about my knee. So, and just being super clear with me on where I was, how much better I could become, how I should train. Yeah. It just made all the difference. And I was just like, we need to be clear. Like, I asked the one, like, how much better should I become? Oh, at least 20% better within 6 months. I'm like, I am working my ass off here. I'm going to be 20. Yeah, and it's that hope thing. Yeah. And it just kind of just blew me away how important are little words. Yeah. I don't know even if the 20% better thing. And then this other guy, he said, like, of course you should be better. It just takes a long time. Yeah. There's no reason why I shouldn't become really well. No. And that is just so motivating to hear.
Yeah, of course. And, that brings us back to, why does some practitioner or chiropractor get really good? I think it is what they say to their their patients, sometimes more than what they treat, in a way, if I can say that.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Okay. But most of the times that I've gone and get treatment myself, they haven't talked to me. Yeah. And that's sad in a way. And I've sticked with the ones who does. And I'm going to be there for life. Yeah. Because I know when I go, they talk to me, they see me, they give me something. And if I'm in a longer treatment program, every time I'm there, because maybe the situation is not changing so much from time to time, but then they just give me something else in a way. They give me maybe a new exercise, or something they have read about, Carina, about this or this. So every time I go out, I've learned something in a way, and it could just be small things, and they could be big things. But in a way, they give me just not the treatment, but something else. And that I also think that people who are successful do. They give the same advice to every patient every week. I don't know, but it doesn't matter.
I don't think you do. Good people don't. They see it, and they connect it, and they see what you need that day. Yeah. I think that's kind of experience. After a while, you know.
Yeah. You know the person.
You know, you see it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take any effort because you just know.
Yeah. And I think maybe it must be more satisfying to be that kind of therapist too, in a way, because you have another connection with your patients. And I think that must be sad. I don't know, because I'm not, but I would think that would be satisfying for me if I was a chiropractor, to have that bond with my patients.
And also think that new chiropractors, they think their role is to fix a problem. It's like if I come in with a shoulder problem, they just want to fix the shoulder.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of, especially in this world, we need somebody to follow us through all this stuff
for life.
For life. Because, it's not this shoulder might be a problem, but there's always things. How do I maximize my life? I want to go to someone to say, okay, how can I feel a little better? Or what can I do to become better or stay healthier? One thing is to get rid of my headaches when I have that, but I also want that X factor. I want that something, and that just, when my shoulder is treated, then there's always something new.
Yeah, of course.
Most people have chronic issues.
In this world we live in, with all the stress and all the things we're going to do just in a day, of course we get pains.
And I think that maybe that has changed a lot during the 2030 last years. The stress levels are so high.
It is.
And we are so inactive. We sit so much.
But before everybody, I remember when I was little, every family had their family doctor. In a way, and it was like, this is our family doctor. He knows us. We go to him every time it is something in our family. And why shouldn't chiropractor or physiotherapist be the family chiropractor or the family physiotherapist? This is the person that knows us and knows me. And every time I have an issue, I go there. And maybe before it was just the doctors, but now every therapist can be a family therapist in a way. And people,
and that touches in at the podcast with Tone Tellefsen. She has a beautiful that talks about that to be part of the family, and having the grandmother, the mother, and that's how to create a practice for life.
Yeah, it is really. And I think for me, I have my chiropractor, and I'm going to stay with him for life. And it's so safe in a way, because I know that I can go to him and he will help me, and I can just book an appointment online if I have a back problem or my arm or anything, and he will always help me. And that's a really good thing in life. And I know, another example, I have my mother. She is 74, going on 75, but she's 74, and she has found her therapists. She has an acupuncture that she loves and a chiropractor she loves, and she goes to them regularly because she's old and she needs help. She's so much better than her friends in many ways, because she's good at taking care of herself, but she has used some time to find her people. And I think because it's not like you match with everybody, you have to try a little bit, and then you find the person you match with, and then the treatment gets better because you match in a way. So I think find your people. And
it's I just went to the dentist 2 days ago, and I just realized I've been with her for at least, I think, 20 years. Yeah. You're getting old, and then I think I might get old too. And I think the good thing, she's a dentist, but she sees me. She always talks. She remembers my dog. She remembers. She's like, how did that thing with the cabin work out? Yeah. And she just remembers. And we have this beautiful, nice. It doesn't take many minutes.
No.
And I feel like, and I of course ask her how she's doing with all kinds of stuff. And it's such a nice connection. And I would never go to another
of course not.
dentist. I
Why?
did go once because I was super desperate. I
Yeah.
was not home. And in her, I feel safe. I have no idea if she's the best one in the world, but she's the best one for me.
Yeah, maybe that's some of the solution to how to get being a good chiropractor is, find your people.
Yeah. Find your patients.
Find your patients. Yeah, the ones that you connect with.
Yeah.
And you hang in there.
And also have the courage to stay with them.
Yeah.
Have the courage to really care
And I remember a good chiropractor who started out at one of the clinic I was working at, and one of the things he did was in the journal every time he. Of course, he wrote all the things he should write, but he also wrote personal things. Yeah. She's going on vacation next week, or she's doing that, or he's doing that, because he needs to remember that for the next time, and he knew that he wouldn't remember, so he just wrote it down. That's
a good tip.
Yeah, it
Write
is.
down these little things and ask about.
Because you can't remember all the things, but people think that you remember. So and
then also when you write things down, you actually remember.
Yeah,
and then you do remember the dog's name or something.
Yeah, so that's a trick, to do that. Yeah.
Well, that's a wonderful little trick and a tip. And so if we should sum up a little bit,
try.
It's really good to find your people, be good at something like find your thing to be good at, and write down the little things.
Yes, do that.
What else did we?
And dare to learn from the people that you admire.